No, it's our live notification. Welcome to Project Iron Podcast.
Okay, we're live. Project Ion Podcast, episode 15, I think, right?
Papers 15.
Yep, February 16th, 2019, live from Northwest Iowa. With me today, Dave Morin. How are you, Dave?
Excellent, thank you.
Kyle Grems is
I'm
back,
baby.
back from paternity leave. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I got a permission to leave the house, so make the most of it.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And then not on camera, but at the other end of the table is Jussie Shepard. How are you, Jussie?
Good.
Good. Welcome back. Jussie was on episode 1 with us, I think.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Episode 1.
So, yeah. Pretty rad to have Jussie back. So, thank you for being here. We can be found online at projectionpodcast.home.blog. We are also on iTunes. Search Project Ion Podcast. All episodes are now current. I think that's true still. I don't know.
Checked recently. If not, they're closed.
Yep. We're also on YouTube. Currently, we just picked up our 30th subscriber. Thank you.
Yeah.
My father-in-law, I just saw subscribed. So thanks, Steve.
Nice.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yep.
Steve.
And you can email us at projectionpodcast@gmail.com. We take questions, comments, or if you'd like to be a guest, hit us up. So, what's been going on, boys?
Oh, just had a child about a month ago. And
Mm-hmm.
just now kind of braving the real world again. I've been kind of in a cocoon recently. It's nice to get out a little bit and see the world again. So mom's doing good. Got mother-in-law there helping out too, which is great. So just starting to sleep a little bit at night now, which is nice. So kind of getting back to normal. As normal as you can get, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And Jussie, I think you've moved since episode 1. I feel like you're operating out of Spirit Lake, right?
Yeah, I moved in October.
Okay, yeah. I think episode.
Okoboji.
Oh, okay.
I definitely like it. I like it more when spring comes around.
Mm-hmm.
We biking and
Right.
all the fun summer stuff.
Great. And Dave, New Mexico, surviving our polar vortex up here.
Yes. Once again, it's been an educational winter. Crazy. And yes, the main update, as you gentlemen know, is that my daughter has broken the seal of tinkling in the toilet. So
Nice.
yes.
Good news.
Yes, all good news. Something to celebrate. So.
Indeed.
Well, how would you guys like to switch to some fake news? Wrong. Okay. Oh, crap, I close up all my
Does
windows.
it involve the Inquirer?
Yeah, no kidding. Let me get...
Isn't most news fake?
Anymore,
TV
it seems
anyways.
like it, yeah.
Kevy's listening chat. I know he's probably thinking climate change is fake news. Kevy, I wish you were here so we could have a civil discussion and look at the data, but I understand that you might have been a little frightened because I was going to be on today, so next time we'll talk a little bit about climate change.
That sounds like a put up or shut up type of throwing down the gauntlet.
Whoever doesn't know, Kevy's my brother, so we can lay down the smack. I'm just asking questions, he says. Yeah, you troll. Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyway, what are we looking at here?
I am trying to...
The national emergency.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Very topical news here.
So...
Trump declared a national emergency this past week. You want to watch this video and listen to it?
Was his plane not allowed to fly to Mar-a-Lago or whatever, or is this an actual emergency?
Well, he's playing golf today, so clearly he's losing sleep over this.
All right. We'll get this video going.
So I'm going to be signing a national emergency. And it's been signed many times before. It's been signed by other presidents. From 1977 or so, it gave the presidents the power. There's rarely been a problem. They sign it. Nobody cares. I guess they weren't very exciting. But nobody cares. They sign it for far less important things in some cases, in many cases.
Far less
We're
controversial.
talking about an invasion of our country with drugs, with human traffickers, with all types of criminals and gangs.
Mr. President, what do you say to those, including some of your Republican allies, who say that you are violating the Constitution with this move and setting a bad precedent that will be abused by possibly Democratic presidents in the future? Marco Rubio
Well,
has
not
made
too
this
many
point.
people, yeah. Not too many people have said that. But the courts will determine that. Look, I expect to be sued. I shouldn't be sued. Very rarely do you get sued when you do national emergency. And then other people say, oh, if you use it.
So the gist here, I guess, is
Wasn't it because of the wall?
yes. I think that the
Yeah,
idea is that since the omnibus package that was approved by Congress, the funding was way under what was necessary for the wall construction, that President Trump has declared national emergency with the idea of siphoning money from other parts of the budget that's been allocated already. And he's right. And I think I saw an article today about that the first round of suits had already been filed. So it's immediately
Yeah, it's
being challenged in the courts. And I don't know. Hard to say what's going to happen, I suppose. But
Give me a lot of money.
Yeah, but he does have a point. I mean, and I know he said this before, I don't remember where, but there is money to be had elsewhere in the
Yeah,
budget,
I'm
for
sure.
example, defense. Um, Now, should you allocate some of that towards a wall? I don't know. I mean, I'm on the fence about that.
oh, you're on the fence about the wall,
Oh.
huh?
for the pun.
Yeah, on the
Yes.
fence about the wall, but I do think that there's some budgets that are grossly inflated. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how this plays out, I guess. But I don't think this really got as much news coverage as I thought it would. I mean, for about a day, it seems like it was number one on Twitter and all over cable news. But then it just kind of fizzles, just like everything else with President Trump. It's fascinating the way it operates. So it's kind of like a machine, controversial machine.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's over in 48 hours. On to the next thing.
On to the next thing. Yeah, what else is going to be said?
Right. I was talking to Spurge about this the other day, and the idea was that sometimes I wonder if this emergency declaration thing is being really done as if it's going to actually work, or if it's more of a posturing move where they're fairly confident that it'll get struck down at some juncture in the judiciary, and then later they can go to the base and say,
Yeah, in other words, it's a way to save face with the base.
right. So I did everything I
Well,
could.
What happened to Mexico paying for it, though?
That's a very good question. It's a good question.
Mhm.
It went from Mexico's going to pay for it to I can't get it done. This is going to fail. And it's now the Democrats' fault.
Well, so okay, would you rather have politicians that, because the Mexico's going to pay for it thing, I think was a bombastic type of a overstatement. Were people really sure that was the accurate?
He
This is
said
true.
it over and over and over. Like it was
He
like
made
the
his
centerpiece
crowds
of
chant it.
his campaign.
Mhm.
That Mexico's gonna pay for the wall, right? I mean, it was not like it was not an ancillary
Yep.
lie.
Well,
Yeah.
would it have worked for him though if he'd come out and said, "Well, we'll get into a shutdown and there'll be a lot of back and forth negotiations, and I'll wind up with like 5% of the
What-
funds that I'm going to ask for to start with," and that's how we're going to pay for it.
What fascinates me the most is that he didn't even bring it up until the Democrats had already taken the House, which seems like a good way to defeat any centerpiece of your political, goals, right? I mean, they could have made a stink about this months ago, but then it's more like the Democrats win and he just impulsively decides to, I don't know what, like it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
He could have got the money he certainly could have gotten a lot more than he got from the House or Pelosi or anybody. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, there's an issue that's sort of baked into all of this, and that's the congressional omnibus thing. How do you guys feel about that I mean, that to me goes against the way that the branches of government are supposed to work together. It's bill runs through Congress, veto, and
Law.
it's law, and then it's supposed to be specific, but they lump in all of this stuff, and then it's a power play thing to say, okay, well, here's all this crap that you're not interested in that gets wedged into this giant, huge bill, but there's this other stuff that you do want. It's like, well, take it or leave it. How bad do you want your money for this, that, or the other thing? And I'm not a huge fan of that kind of stuff. I mean, that to me, it's a corrupt way to for Congress to control the purse strings. So
you think, in your mind, it kind of undermines the executive branch?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's the dynamic of how the two branches should be working together. I mean, I think that it was set up to work in specifics. So this is X for X, the X amount of dollars for X thing, and so on and so forth. But they pile up and mix all of the financial allocations together in their big giant package, and it's a way for Congress to jam in stuff that the president might be opposed to. And I don't know, it'd be interesting to learn the history of that omnibus package stuff, because I think it's a fairly relatively new thing. Like, I'm kind of shooting from the hip here, but I feel like it's within the last few decades that's kind of taken off.
It's kind of like a vacation package too, where you have to buy the package to get the tickets, and it comes with all the side stuff that you don't really want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's kind of weird how that all works out.
Yep.
To the highest branches of government. So,
I mean, I kind of get that they used to call it earmarking and whatever, right? Where you design a compromise, and sometimes you have to throw a little meat to all the players involved in some sort of way that they can rally the troops to vote and pass things. I mean, certainly that's in the spirit of compromise, which seems like our whole federal government is all about compromise. But I mean, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of, like, why do it's like nobody seems to mind that the government just accumulates more and more debt year after year. And it's very weird economics, the way that all works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, it's not really paying back the debt. It's slowing down how much you accumulate debt, from what I can kind of understand.
But it's very odd in the sense, like, I mean, I feel like there used to be this notion that you sort of spent what you paid, and that's how you manage the value of your currency, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, what are we? How many trillions are we now? I don't know the statistics, but I remember that was kind of the Republican.
Right, they were all about balancing the budget.
Yeah.
Until they got power, I guess.
Yeah. And spend. I don't know.
Or cut taxes and spend anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh gosh, what do we got here?
Now here we go. You were talking about fake news. Here we go. This is some fake news right here.
Let me switch to my display. Hopefully this works. Yep. I think. Yes. Sorry, people. It's amateur hour still. So this is sort of an update on I think we talked about the Covington Indian and the drum guy story at some episode.
Yeah.
So now they've come along and hired some silk stockings law firm to represent these kids and make defamation claims, I believe, against all of the news people. And one of these articles had a big list, and I thought that was kind of interesting, but I'm not sure. Oh, okay, here we go. I think Laura's walking around upstairs. Sidebar, I made her watch a scary movie last night. She hates scary movies.
So does Kelly.
Yeah, it was the
Strangers.
Strangers, yeah. Which isn't very good.
Was that the one with Steven Tyler's daughter or whatever?
Yes, yeah.
I saw that. It was terrible.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty terrible.
There was a couple of scenes in there that I liked. When she was like smoking a cig in the kitchen or something like that, and you could see the guy just kind of
lurking
around in the shadows. I thought that was a pretty good scene, and I don't know. I kind of like the idea
of lurking.
The random carnage thing was sort of
people with masks.
Me, yeah. Okay. Anyways, the gist here: lawyers have sent all sorts of, I guess, cease and desist or whatever type demand letters to every news outlet out there for running with this fake news story. And I don't know. I mean, I'd hate to comment on their chances of success, I suppose, but
yeah, isn't that kind of a tricky lawsuit in any
the burden
instance?
the burden is higher. I know for when the statements are about somebody that's a public figure, because by virtue of being a public figure, you resign yourself to a certain amount of criticism and things being written about you and that sort of thing. But these kids don't constitute public figures. I think they'll probably, my suspicion would be that the issues that'll be litigated the most heavily is the damage aspect. I mean, you've got to put a dollar figure on. Civil suit or civil court is all about money typically. So, you're gone from what, like 200 followers on your Twitter to now 10,000 probably, because of you've been launched into being quasi famous as a kid. I don't know. I mean, what's the damage exactly? And
wonder if you have to hire anybody for security or.
Yeah, there might be some stuff like that.
I get that.
The death threats, the emotional distress, there could be some components there that are more quantifiable, but
regardless, I side with the Indian because I'm 1/510th part Cherokee.
Okay.
You can call me Pocahontas.
Sounds kind of racist, pal.
Yeah. Well, president said it, so it's all good.
In reference to Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting story. I don't know. I sort of feel like has she kind of submarined her chances, do you guys think, with all that
stuff? She was in Iowa not too long ago.
I heard about that, yeah.
When Trump was running, it was always, he's too radical to win. He's too far right to win. But same thing can be said with Warren. I mean, he's way left.
I think that she has maybe injured her chances a tiny bit, but that, I mean, by comparison to all the things Trump did, it's just like nothing. It's nothing. So she used a little bit of lineage to get some leverage to get into Harvard or whatever.
Trump is a master of making not much a lot, like especially with the Pocahontas thing.
He was out like talking crap about veterans and Gold Star families. I mean, this is public, calling people ugly and just making up crap about Ted Cruz's dad and calling his wife ugly. I mean, there's no comparison. So does she submarine her chance? Maybe a little bit, but I kind of think it's too early to tell. I guess that's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
Kevy says in chat to stop saying Indian. Sorry.
I'd agree it's too soon to tell, but I think that she's probably done some damage to her
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
to her campaign. I mean that
The real
the-
damage was
the-
that she.
the DNA test thing was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 1/1000th or something.
Something.
It was
worse
like
than-
1/50th or
and
something.
It was worse than 1 and 1/50th.
I don't remember it
I think it
anyway.
was like at best it was like 1/600th to a range as bad as 1 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even necessarily North American, Native American, like included like Peruvian and stuff from South America, etc. So
Yeah, it's
I mean,
wild.
you
I
know,
mean, you can claim to be any pretty much
Well,
heritage if you
yeah,
dive back
right,
into
yeah.
far enough.
So
I'm 1/750,000th Neanderthal. Save the
Mhm.
caveman.
So that was a bad look, certainly. But you're sort of right. Like, what else does she have other things on her public besides this Native American thing? What else is there to point to? That's a negative. Like, unless you just disagree with her policies,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
is she?
Well, I think that's where her strength lies, is her policy.
Okay.
Like, she created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That was her baby. So that's a pretty big thing she can point to. And I don't think there's too many people that think that, maybe keeping an eye on loan sharks and like payday lenders and crap and
Mhm.
Sharks are awesome.
yeah,
Gotta
I mean,
figure it
yeah, or like predatory student loans and credit cards and all that.
50%
Yeah.
interest. Pay me tomorrow.
Well, don't sign.
Yeah, that's just it.
You know,
That's just
you don't
it.
have to sign on the dotted line. I mean, unless they're going around with a gun.
Yeah.
True, but then Wells Fargo gets busted over and over and over again for doing all kinds of nefarious, sneaky, sleazy stuff.
That's fair.
I mean, Wells Fargo. I mean, I have
Yep.
an account with Wells Fargo. I ain't gonna lie.
Alright.
So
Yeah, I don't know. Lenders, I think, get a bad rap sometimes. Which, well, in that vein, what we're talking about there was some legislation that came out in the wake of the housing bubble crash thing, where
Mhm.
there's so many subprime mortgages, and I want to say it was Chris Dodd and
Dodd-Frank.
Dodd-Frank, yep. And that was this 1,000-page thing full of rules and this, that, and the other thing. And for the Wells Fargos and the Citibanks and some of those that were the huge operators that were making a lot of bad loans back in those days, I think it did its job, cleaned them up. And then, but the problem with that was that the compliance measures were so humongous that it kind of disparately affected smaller banks. So you think of a bank like North Star here in Esterville.
I'd heard that.
Yeah, so the little banks were really struggling to match all the paperwork went up 10 times
Mhm.
for every single loan that they have to make, and disclosures and this, that, and the other thing. And I mean, it sort of took away some of the discretion that a small town person who knows who they're making loans to,
Yeah.
they couldn't really operate it if they wanted to sell their stuff on the secondary market. They had all this crap you have to start doing.
Yeah.
And then these smaller banks didn't have the staff to keep up on all the compliance rules, so it got really difficult for them. But yeah, I don't know.
But
Go ahead. Sorry.
But what has gone away basically is the subprime loans. Like, they're just gone, and they should be gone, in my view. Like,
Yeah.
They should not exist. If your credit is that bad, and
Shouldn't be getting a mortgage.
you shouldn't be getting a mortgage, and
Mhm.
you shouldn't be able to just like don't even have to prove you're
Right.
employed, and just these
Mhm.
ridiculous loan products that they had going on back then.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
I wish I knew more about the banking industry. Obviously, my wife is a banker, so I get tidbits here and there, but I just don't know enough to, um, to formulate too big of an opinion on it. I do know a hell of a lot about student loans, though, and that, in my my opinion, is pretty criminal. But like you said, Jim, you don't have to sign on the dotted line. So,
Mhm.
um, but if you don't have any other means and you want to go to school, the prices
Yeah.
of school are absolutely astronomical now. So,
Right.
right. And that's a good question. Why has that happened?
yeah.
Like, why has that gone?
Well, I think more and more people are going to college than there were in the 50s and 60s, and um, I guess I don't know if you look at universities now compared to where they were before. I guess it'd be kind of interesting to do a comparison. I'm not sure size-wise. I don't know how different they'd be, but I'm sure there's a lot more opportunities
S-
with technology and all that stuff that they'd have to pay
I
for.
would
But
think that size would mean cheaper.
yeah,
You'd
you'd
have a
think so.
Walmart effect, sort of. Maybe. I mean, if you're in a class with 500 people for your freshman year for all your classes, shouldn't that drive prices down? I don't know.
I think so. I
It makes sense to me,
I
but
wouldn't
instead,
assume it'd be um, on par with the inflation rate. I mean, there's no way it is.
no. It's like back then you could work over the summer at a
for
pharmacy
school.
in the 50s and pay
Mhm.
for school and have no
Yeah.
loans.
Yeah.
Yeah, those days are gone, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I blame the student loan thing on when they federalized all the student loan money. The
Yeah.
federal government took it over. So now colleges and universities out there have got zero incentive to do anything but jam
Jack
as
up the
many
prices,
students
yeah.
in that they possibly can in their facilities,
Let them all
hire
in.
more administrators, and then let everybody in that they lower their standards
Yeah.
to let as many kids in as they possibly can, because
They're gonna get their money.
they're going to get their money no matter what, because it's all coming from the federal government, and then
Yeah.
the government sells all their loans to their servicers or whatever, and then
Hmm.
people pay back the servicers. So the universities have essentially have got no skin in the game in
Yeah.
terms of like losing business.
Yeah.
There's a endless supply of students every year graduating from high school, and that's I don't know. I think culturally we've done kids a disservice by telling them that it's like the bachelor's degree or bust
Yeah.
type.
Yeah.
I mean, not enough kids are doing trade, I don't think.
Yeah, and
it's
there's I mean, look at like the generation just around here of electricians or plumbers or contractors. They're all in their 40s and 50s. Rarely do you see an electrician in his 20s right out of
mhm.
high school or whatever, a couple years apprenticeship, and then they're on the job. You just don't see that much anymore.
Yeah.
So, and the weird thing is they make good money. I mean,
It's true.
for not a whole lot of schooling and maybe a couple years of apprenticeship, they're
Yep.
well off.
Oh yeah. So a kid that goes to trade school right out of high school will be out and be making money before his buddy who had to go to, liberal arts college somewhere, pay a lot of money, and then, wind up
Major.
being a
Gender
making
studies
coffee
major.
at Starbucks or something like that. Yeah, well, I mean, exactly. That's unless you're
That's another thing. The amount of majors and programs that some of these colleges offer. For example, a certain school in Florida that we will not name
yep.
that offers degrees in every aspect of a computer. You can pretty much get a degree in how to program a mouse or something, and they sell kids on that. Do your dream job after you're $400,000 in debt, and you got a piece of paper that's meaningless.
Is this a public school?
I'm not sure if is.
I don't. Yeah, probably. I don't know.
It's
I mean,
a for-profit. I think.
yeah, right. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that's just sidebar.
Yeah, well, that kind of stuff's bullshit. I mean, really is. Maybe Elizabeth Warren can save us from that. She can draft some.
If you're listening, Elizabeth Warren, narrow down the course offerings in public institutions.
Well,
that'll save it.
Or just make it so that kids are getting some value for their educational dollar.
I think Spurge actually mentioned this the other day. He was saying he had to take a class, and I don't know if it was applied basket weaving or something, just to get his degree or something. It was ridiculous, whatever class it was.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Norwegian fairy tales or something like that. Just to satisfy requirements to graduate to be a pharmacist. So it's just crazy. And you look at the cost per credit. I think Buena Vista here in Estherville and Storm Lake, it's crazy. It's like $375, $400 per credit. You have a 3-credit class. It's $1,200 for one class a semester. Not counting books, other things, other fees and stuff.
Right.
It's crazy. Crazy. No wonder that student loan looks so appealing to an 18-year-old.
Yeah. Guys want to do Jussie?
Smollett? Is it Smollett?
Smollett. Yeah, we'll bring
Jussie
Shepard in on this one. Okay.
Amazing. Beta. He's a beta male.
I don't know what the heck news site this is.
Just Jared.
Is this the Subway guy?
I hope not.
So this fellow, do you guys know this story much? Or have
you got the crap beat out of him outside Chicago by some MAGA dudes. And they dumped some chemical on his face. That's all I know, basically.
I think that was the original story.
There's more
to it. I think there's more to it.
Oh, my. Police report.
So the police, now believe that he paid 2 men to orchestrate this attack.
Really? Huh. Just trying to get the back publicity.
Jussie Smollett case took a bizarre turn. Police reportedly believe that the actor paid 2 men to orchestrate the attack. What's Empire? I've never heard of this.
Isn't it?
Is
it a show?
Oh, it's a show? Okay.
Yeah.
That I have never seen.
Yeah.
There's so much of that crap on CBS and NBC. These stupid sitcoms. They're not even sitcoms. They're like series. Okay. Just spin-offs of like CSI and all that crap. It's
so
dumb.
Yeah. He said he was attacked by 2 men early on January 29th. Now, if you guys remember, January 29th was when it was like 50 below. You remember that day?
Yeah. Yeah, that was wild. That was
the middle of the polar vortex. So Hold
on. We had a cold day. Climate change does not exist. We had a cold day. It's snowing. I have a snowball. Climate change. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When it's coldest weather.
Yep.
But whenever a hurricane pops up, it's
No, that's still weather. That's still weather, but the intensity is increasing, which is due to climate change.
Actually,
anyway.
the intensity is increasing.
Hey, facts don't care about feelings, bruh. Beta.
Anyways.
Where was this at then?
Chicago.
So the point is, it would be cold to want to go beat somebody up kind of thing.
Well, I mean.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
All the circumstances, if you add them all up, 2 a.m, 50 below zero. I think the videotape of him, he went to Subway, got a sandwich, got beat up, and then as he was leaving the site where he got beat up, he was back on camera again because there's cameras everywhere in Chicago, and he still had his sandwich. And put a rope around his neck and an unknown substance on him. So these other 2 guys were arrested earlier this week. There's evidence that the brothers purchased the rope, which was found around Smollett's neck. Anyways, I don't know if this stuff is all confirmed here, that it was for sure a hoax, but
They pour it on his face. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw the picture. He didn't look like he was beat up all that bad to me, but I think he had a couple
He was
scratches.
hospitalized.
A couple scratches under his eyes or something. Yeah. But anyways, well, what's the lesson in all of this? I mean, like, wait 48 hours before you take off with the. I mean, I don't.
To what extreme can you go to make somebody look bad, or to make a group of people look bad? It's crazy.
To me, those like news stories that it's a bit like the Covington thing. It gets people all emotional and whatnot. But in the end, I mean, it's probably not that worth caring much about.
Well, what do you gain? What does he gain?
Notoriety?
Not
Press?
Yeah, not good press, especially now.
No such thing as bad.
I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess here we are talking about
Could it be a publicity stunt? Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know what else it would be if this is legit, if he's paying somebody to do it.
Like, police reportedly believe he paid too. So it's kind of like, well, maybe that's bad, like wrong news too. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't really seem sort of early on.
We're in a time where we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Stream down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh, looks good on this end.
I don't know what
internet connection there. No.
Is yours
Still
going?
shows it. Oh, mine's. No, it's.
Yeah. I just texted Kevin and he said it was down.
Weird. Looks okay from here. I wonder if it's just hiccuping.
Maybe.
Sometimes it does that.
What do you got? Mediacom or what do you got over here?
Yeah, Mediacom. I suppose we could.
Does it still record on that program, even if you're not like? So if the stream went down, could we still have, the material?
That's a good question.
Are you recording it through YouTube or through a different?
It's going to YouTube right now, but it's a broadcast program that I have on here called OBS. Yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, it's like everything on my end looks fine, which is bizarre.
Yeah, I just don't.
Still not.
There we go. I think we're good now.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah, it does hiccup sometimes, I know. Okay. Dive back in here. So, Jesse, any chance you're going to start going by Jussie?
We can't call you Jussie Smollett.
Jussie Shepherd.
That's not weird.
Jussie.
Weird spelling.
Yeah, what's up with that? I guess that's just his
just,
name.
Yeah,
It's just his
Nowadays
name.
you can spell whatever you want.
Yep.
Is it pronounced Jesse, though? It's just spelled weird, or is it Jussie?
Good question.
Maybe Juicy.
Yeah.
Juicy?
Juicy Smollett.
I have no idea.
That's a cruel name.
Juicy Smollett sounds dirty.
Yeah.
Does sound.
I'll take a Juicy Smollett, please.
Yeah, I mean, the Covington thing and this Jussie Smollett thing happened within like a week or 10 days of each other, I think, didn't they? And we had it's like potentially two instances of where like the initial reporting started off way strong, and then as the evidence started to roll out, then they started like rolling back on the stuff that was said.
Well, that's kind of where we're at now with outrage media.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Do the story.
outrage porn.
Yeah.
Sort of. Like both of those stories kind of strike me as not particularly worth paying attention to, but just gets people all up in a kerfuffle
Right.
for something that doesn't really. I mean, look at the Covington thing. So the kid smirked at a dude. Whatever, and you could say, okay, well, there are all these circumstances and whatever. But so what? Okay, a teenage punk smirked at an Indian. Like, really?
Why was it a big deal? In the
Who
first place?
cares?
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Like, I just don't see how that should gain national attention at all.
Mm-hmm.
But with social media, these things just, it's
Yeah.
things just go nuts, and it gets sort of, I don't know.
Well, and the fake news element to me isn't always necessarily about the veracity of the news necessarily. It's about the stories that are chosen to be highlighted and broadcasted, and then which ones are omitted too. And it's a shame that we're in.
Let me give you an example. So there's a guy over at ILCC, a guy named Kevin Fair. And he was fixing to go over to Haiti for a mission trip or whatever. And apparently things have gotten bad there. Bad enough to where they're sending everyone who isn't, they're sending all the missionaries home, all the GMO people. NGOs, excuse me. Got my acronyms mixed up. But they're sending folks home, and we haven't heard anything about it. I know nothing about that.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we get some teenager kind of acting like a punk, but not really doing much of anything any of us haven't ever done.
So, in order to find out about that story, which is markedly more interesting,
it's certainly more
reasons,
relevant.
Dig. Yeah,
right, yeah.
That's horse shit.
Yeah,
shouldn't have to live in that kind of universe.
Yeah,
which is why you should go to nowherenews.
Yeah, there you go.
.com. Get all your news from there. Yeah.
Or Infowars.
Infowars, yeah. What was the name of that girl again, Dave?
Dang it. Something Carter. Jessica. Something Carter.
Okay. Something Carter.
Carter. Suicide Mean Girl. I don't know.
Yeah. Try Suicide and Carter. See if she pops up. Michelle Carter.
Eyebrows. Put that in.
Eyebrows. Okay.
How long did she get?
We'll find out
I
here.
think it was a year or so, maybe 8 months.
People are mean. Girls are mean.
Mm-hmm.
That one is.
Yeah.
So, okay, a young woman who urged her boyfriend through text messages to kill himself has been ordered to jail to begin serving her jail sentence for involuntary manslaughter. Michelle Carter showed no emotion as she was taken into custody at the end of a brief hearing.
15 months.
Okay.
Holy ads.
Oh, God. Help me. Shep, I need some PC repair.
News websites is all.
I need PC repair, Shep.
From all the ads on there. You gotta pay for it somehow. 15
months in jail. Okay, for role in the 2014 death of Conrad Roy III. Okay. I don't want to watch the 48 hours full episode.
No, I don't either.
That's a little intense. Let's try this out.
This makes me sick. You know, he's Devin's a monster. I look forward to this reunion for 30 years, but he just had to get healthy and drink Pong. Now he's laughing it up with the same Karen.
Yeah.
You notice like Facebook pages or videos are like a few seconds long and they still have an ad in
Yeah.
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 Ads everywhere.
Remember when ads weren't on YouTube? That's how old we are.
Voting, sir.
Yeah.
Are there any other issues you wish to bring to the court's attention today?
Not today.
All right. Ms. Flynn, are there any other issues that the Commonwealth would wish to bring to the court's attention today?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, fine. Thank you very much. All right, as I indicated, I have reviewed the Commonwealth's motion and have read in detail, once again, the order that I issued on August 3rd, 2017, relative to the stay and the underlying rules, especially Rule 31 of the Massachusetts Rules of Criminal Procedure with respect to that. Having done all of that and considered the arguments just presented to the court now allows the Commonwealth's motion to revoke the stay of sentence. Ms. Carter will now be taken into custody.
So, does she go
Matter is adjourned.
Off to jail.
straight from there to jail?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, do you guys know the basic facts of this thing? I mean, I guess we kind of hit on it already a little bit, but she urged her boyfriend through text messages to kill himself. Be nice. I wonder if this will tell us exactly what she said. Okay. Lower court said Carter caused Roy's death when she told him to get back in a truck filled with toxic gas. Prosecutors said Carter could have stopped Roy, but instead pushed him to go through this plan. Her lawyers argued that she didn't force Roy to take his own life, and that there wasn't sufficient evidence that she told him to get back into the truck.
How is that? I mean, I would assume they'd have the text messages.
Yeah.
Roy, get back in the truck. How's that not sufficient?
Right.
She just seems like a wicked witch from the West, like Maxine Waters.
So, what I would like to know is what the statute said that she was charged under, and then what the case law would be. And like, were they in Massachusetts? Is that
that's
what
what
it
it
was?
said,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So,
Wicked
I
Witch
mean,
of the
that's
East.
my lawyerly cop-out answer, is that without a lot of legal research, I wouldn't really know how out of left field or how
Yeah, I mean,
in line with precedent this decision was. But
seems light to me.
She got what was the actual charge that she got?
Right,
Manslaughter.
well,
It was manslaughter,
that's
which
what
is
I'm
what,
asking.
3rd degree murder?
What's going on? Yeah, manslaughter is
We're revving up our engine.
amateur hour here.
There's an X up there.
Okay. I need PC repair, Shep. Yeah, a manslaughter is like it's a lower. There's, your first degree murder typically and
Premeditated.
it's got the premeditated and intentional.
Second
element to
degree
it,
is like
right?
you walk in and your wife is in bed with some guy. And so
Yeah, that's a classic. Or you're in a fist fight and you intend to hit the guy, but you don't intend to kill him.
Right.
Something like that.
Sort
But
of
that-
in the passion of the moment.
Right. That could, or my hit example could potentially be like a voluntary manslaughter type thing. Maybe, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe
But,
volunteer,
yeah. But yeah, it's always the way to talk about criminal law always is there's always elements that are present in the statute which are necessary for the conviction under the crime, and each one of those elements has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So if it's like you intentionally did and knowingly did, it's all that kind of stuff. And all that state of the mind has to be there and provable by evidence.
Well,
in the defense.
It's certainly clear that she had intent, right? She might have thought that he wouldn't go through with it, but then why would you push it if...
Yeah.
I don't
Sounds
know.
like a mean person.
Yeah. Did this kid have mental illness too, or I wonder if that was a factor?
There
I would
was
assume
some...
There'd almost have to be.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the case, but if your girlfriend tells you to kill yourself and then you do it,
you're
something wrong with your mental state somehow.
I would agree with that.
Depression, at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing with this whole social media. I mean, people make like bad comments and stuff all over.
Oh yeah, I mean,
not just texting, I guess, but
yeah, like the
just gotta get
acronym
used
we
to
all
it.
know, FOAD.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe how big Snapchat is now. I'm not a big snapper. I don't know if you are, Shep, or not.
Not big. I gotta do it.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, yeah.
But God, these kids in high school, I mean, it's just constant. Their fingers are moving all the time, and it's
changed big time since
picture, little type, picture, and they're not even taking pictures of their face. It's just like pictures off to the side of the backdrop. It's like a text message it's weird. I don't get it, but it's definitely evolved from flip phone. Hey,
So
what's
you've
up?
seen it all, how it's changed.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy.
I remember dial-up.
Dial-up
Yeah, I remember
internet.
that too.
Vicky used to get mad because we were on the internet and she wanted to talk to her
Yeah,
friend.
kids
Yeah.
nowadays will never know what that is.
The old tone.
Well, so what's the consensus on this girl then? So
Oh,
she
yeah.
should go to
Sorry.
jail for the crime. Is that what everybody's
I mean, I think
feeling
my
around the
knee jerk
table?
is certainly she's an a-hole,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that dude is dead because of her. So,
Well,
yeah, I mean, that's sort of my knee jerk sort of.
Yeah.
This is probably gonna start a whole thing though with
But what does the precedent say? And it's one of those like, where does
Freedom of
free
speech.
speech? You know, it's kind of like kind of dancing around a line that's. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it could be argued that it's a little, maybe a bridge too far in that maybe she knew she was dealing with somebody that's mentally ill. Maybe she egged him on and all of that, but does it rise to the level of a crime as severe as what she was punished under? Because there's still the intervening cause of him actually going about killing himself.
Right.
It's a suicide. It wasn't a murder, because there was no other person physically involved. So, yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
And then, but think about the flip side. What does it say if you just could say, oh, well, she was exercising her free speech and he's the one who did it, you know? But then that sort of opens up a whole other can of worms, which is like anybody who gets, if anybody, I mean, anybody who does that sort of thing would then just get off, And I don't think that's right. I don't think you should be able to just, here, let's make a blueprint for how you should kill yourself. Well, you said you were going to do it. Why didn't you do it yet? Let's do it tomorrow. Prove it, Kids are dumb.
Yeah, there's, you guys are probably familiar with 4chan. Maybe.
Yes.
Okay. There's posts about that all the time. Like, Anon or OP makes a post and everybody else says go kill yourself. It's awful. But is that the same thing as what happened here? I mean, probably. You're anonymous. So.
Mm-hmm.
But this wasn't anonymous. This was her
Right.
boyfriend.
Right. Yeah. Right. But
and it was multiple events, like there was a plan. You should follow through with what you said you were going to do. Why haven't you? All of that it's different. You're right. 4chan
different
is
than just
a wretched hive of scum and
insult.
villainy, sure, but I don't know.
4chan.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly where, at least this case, there is a distinction with the internet trolls and that sort of thing, is that these two had a personal relationship together, and but there's text evidence of it all. What if she just said all this stuff to him in person?
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly harder to prove.
Right. So there's nothing there. So, no, I didn't. I didn't do that. So yeah, she can't prove it, or they can't prove it against her. So.
But maybe they could if there were all these other, witnesses, right?
Maybe. I don't know. It strikes me as a little troublesome because I would be concerned about, okay, it's a benevolent position to take, probably to want to protect sensitive people from predatory commenters but I mean, how do you come up with a workable blueprint where it's like, okay, this level of
Insult.
go kill yourself type insult is fine, but then this one is the one where it crosses the line and it's too much. And I don't know if that could be easily or efficiently determined. So
yeah, I agree.
Sort of a slippery slope thing. I hate doing that all the time.
Oh man, that problem with the slippery slope though is it's an argument you can always make, and therefore it's a fallacy, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't. I'm undermining my own position, maybe, but it does strike me as being very difficult. Like, how do you how do you come up with a workable framework then for what is okay and what isn't
Yeah.
for something like this?
Well, I don't
So-
think that it's hard to say this isn't okay. It's hard to put it into a legal sort of, like you were saying,
Mhm.
a checklist
Yep.
that has to be met. And I guess that's why folks
Yeah.
make the big bucks.
That's
I don't
what
know.
that's what the law is all about. It's trying to take a messy and complicated world and put everything into a box and label it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Check it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I wouldn't be if I was probably the judge on that. I don't know if I would have convicted her. I'd have to. I guess I'd have to see the.
Would that come down to a judge?
Well, if Massachusetts operates, basically most states are the same. But yeah, it'd be like, it's your county or district court bringing the charges on behalf of the state to start with, and then there's an appellate process always, and there's a layer or two in there. Like in Iowa, we've got our district courts, and then there's the appellate level, and then you can go to the state Supreme Court, and then of course if it's some sort of federal constitution issue involved or something like that, or federal law is implicated in some way, or even you want to say, hey, the state here isn't following their own constitution, Supreme Court, then you can kick it all the way up to the
Hey,
U.S. Supreme Court.
breaking news.
What?
Jussie Smollett case. 2 suspects released without charging as new evidence emerges. So they got released, no charges. Crazy.
So, yeah, if there's no charges, then that indicates that his story was bogus then? Is that right? Or
We can confirm that the information received from the individuals questioned by police earlier in the Empire case has, in fact, shifted the trajectory of the investigation to... Well, I'm not going to read all this, but yeah, Chicago police believe former suspects were paid to assault actor.
Wow.
Paid by him?
Yeah. Huh. Stop glorifying victimhood. I agree. Interesting.
Yeah.
That was like number 4 on Twitter.
Wow. Is that where you get a lot of your news? Is Twitter?
Yeah.
Is that
a lot of the big stuff, like
fairly typical?
current events? I'm not gonna sift through Twitter articles and stuff. I just look and see what's happening. If there's something big, then I'll flip it somewhere. But a lot of it's sporting stuff too, more than anything.
Speaking of sports, go Midgets, right? State basketball.
Yeah, state basketball. That's awesome. They just won in overtime tonight. And, 2 games they won in overtime to get to Des Moines, so they'll be playing next week sometime. It's great. Great.
I have to say that I find it particularly awesome that the team here is the Midgets.
The Midgets, yeah.
Mighty Midgets. Thank you very much.
Right.
Got okay.
It's
Lady Midgets.
Corrected.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to speak on behalf of Esterville, but I think that it would be fair to say that it's a fair, uniform idea that there's a certain degree of like enjoyment in having a mascot that's sort of a pejorative. I think.
Yeah, a few years ago, I think they
yeah.
petitioned to change it.
Yeah.
To no avail. I mean, there's some diehard midgets in the community, so
I see midget stuff all over the place. It's kind of weird to me, actually. Like, I've never seen so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure it is.
Community pride, I guess.
Yeah. It's hard to really kind of hard to think about because all 3 of us here have been in Esterville all our lives, and we've known no other way, I guess. So it's hard to see it from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
Are you offended, Dave?
No.
Okay.
I'm not offended.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Then again, I'm not a midget, so I don't know. I just think it's funny.
It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no doubt about that. But it's tradition, I guess.
It's not like you're making fun of him or anything. I mean,
yeah,
I just figured kids are little, and it's kind of like, oh, that's funny. We'll call them midgets. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got it, but
The story, as I understand it, it's from an old sports write-up from like the Depression, or maybe even sooner than that. And it was, I want to say it was Esterville played the Jackson, Minnesota, and Esterville's team was unusually small for whatever reason, and Jackson looked huge. And whoever was writing this article said, "Oh well, the Esterville boys look like midgets or something" in their article, and something, the nickname just kind of stuck. And we got our little wrestler guy that's the mascot, and I mean,
I think it's kind of.
I've known no other way, but
kind of adorable.
People, people that grow up in bigger towns and go to bigger schools and that, I don't think they have the same. Maybe connection, or maybe it doesn't occur to them that, I mean, in a little tiny rural town like Esterville, the school is so much of what's happening in the community.
Right. Well, in my hometown, there was multiple elementary schools. They each had their own mascot, and then you went to one of 2 high schools, plus a couple little ones.
What did the 2 high schools in town have a sports rivalry with one another? Or?
Well, it was a little weird for me because they had just opened the second high school when I was coming up through high school, or maybe it was they opened it right after. I don't even remember. That's what it was. They opened it right after I graduated, but they were working on it and all this. Do they have a rivalry? I'm sure they do. I don't know. But yeah.
Well. Yeah, it's interesting though. I mean, I got some friends out in Colorado, in one of the Denver suburbs, and they went to a school that had about 1,000 kids in each grade. So it was about 4,000 plus in the school, and they'd tell me every day, see somebody in the hallways I've never seen before. Yeah, it's like going to a small college or something.
Yeah, that was my experience. Our high school, because they hadn't opened the second high school yet, it was just grossly overpopulated. And traffic and accidents and knifings and all kinds of stuff. It was I don't know. It was not ideal. It was not ideal.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very ideal.
Dave's OG over here.
Yeah, wow, man.
I was not a knife wielder. I was more of a wallflower. That was my gang. Yeah. I was throwing the W. Yeah. For the wallflower. Yeah.
Right. Hang out on the edge.
Yeah.
That's better than getting in the mixture, man. Who wants to get in a dumb rumble or something?
Yeah.
Like you're part of the Jets or the Sharks, huh?
Well, shoot. What else is new? Shep, we haven't heard much from you.
Yeah, Shep.
See the LA helicopter thingy?
LA.
Look that up.
LA helicopter.
LA helicopter. Okay.
It was supposed to be. They said it's a training, but no one believes it's a training.
Ooh, we got a little.
Ooh, could this be
a conspiracy?
It's all over YouTube.
Yeah, this may be an opportunity for the. It's all over YouTube, huh? Is there any more stuff besides LA and helicopter? I'm just getting like.
Watch these videos zipping low between buildings, downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, right there.
Army invades LA.
This is it right here?
Army, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Conducting
time for
training.
The conspiracy
it's
glasses.
They're getting ready for something big or what?
Put them on. There you go.
All right.
That was really interesting.
Oh, you got the conspiracy glasses.
This is for
on.
the conspiracy theories, yeah. Or if I have a headache.
Okay.
Because the screen's too bright. This thing will play. Good grief.
Using the wrong browser.
What's the matter with this browser, Shep?
Who uses the Edge? Microsoft Edge.
Internet Explorer.
Edge sus? Is that the idea? What should I get?
Chrome, man.
Chrome.
Firefox is good too. Chrome's
okay, you both say Chrome as if it's just this like automatic. Everybody should know this.
Who the hell uses Internet Explorer?
Internet Explorer than Microsoft Edge.
Because I don't give a shit. It's just the stuff that's on there. It's like, give me on the fucking internet.
use Chrome, then you can download
Okay.
add a pop-up blocker.
There you go. Exactly. Ad blocker, pop-up blocker.
Looked and sounded real enough to generate a lot of chatter tonight on social media. NBC4's Hetty Chang is live for us at LA Live, where things got very real there, too. Hetty.
Chuck, we first told you about this training last night on the NBC4 News at 11, but it appears not everyone got the message. As one man told us tonight, it's not every day you're enjoying a peaceful dinner. You look outside your window and you see a helicopter hovering. What you're watching right now is video of that military training taking place. Some people telling us it looked and felt so real, they feared for their safety.
And here they go, getting into position.
News Chopper 4 Bravo hovering over LA Live. Tonight turned Operation LA.
Military personnel there loading up into the helicopters.
Watch as lines of military personnel emerge from the bushes and fall into waiting helicopters. The low-lying fleet zipping right by downtown skyscrapers.
Jeez.
This cell phone video shows the military training copters passing within feet from this balcony on Wilshire Boulevard.
Whoa,
Some
yeah,
downtown
I'd be
residents
into
say
that.
they were notified of the U.S. Army training, but others tell us they thought the city was under attack.
I don't really need the
Yeah, you might
excitement
think, you
down
might
the street
assume
with
there was like
bombs
an
going
active
off and
shooter or
paratroopers
something.
coming down from the
That would be
sky.
spooky.
And
Before this all
massive
happened,
helicopters
too.
blowing my windows
They
out.
said they were
I don't need that.
training.
And it's like not what you typically see, like big guns and on a chopper, like right next to you trying to eat dinner. So it's pretty weird.
One guy
Not
after
what you
another
see every day.
talking about what the UFOs sounded like. Or a tornado. It sounded like a train.
Interesting. I wonder if we're getting prepped for something major. It's been boring lately.
Yeah.
Probably is going to be something.
Need more
major.
action.
It won't be long. We'll probably have another North
Crazy
Korea.
weather.
Yeah, that's kind of what I. Seems like crazy weather's around the corner.
Yeah, something's going on. The Earth or whatever. Who knows? We won't know until it happens, I think. I've been watching too much YouTube.
That's awesome.
Conspiracy videos.
The nice thing about we won't know till it happens is there's no way to be wrong.
You can sit and watch YouTube where they have like clips of all around the country.
Oh yeah.
They'll have clips from the week, every day of that week.
Yeah.
Of all the crazy weather that happens. It just.
Shep, do you watch Shane Dawson on YouTube? Ever heard of him?
I think I have a few times.
He's the guy who kind of made famous the Chuck E. Cheese pizza conspiracy. You guys heard of that? So there's.
No, I don't think I did.
You guys know what Chuck E. Cheese is, right?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Anyway, they serve pizza there, and Google Chuck E. Cheese pizza quick, and I'll just kind of talk about why you do that.
I don't know if I've seen them or not.
So the idea is that when people order pizza, they the pizza they get comes in like an oblong oval, and it's not connected. So what the employees are doing is they're taking like bits and pieces of pizza from already made pizzas off the tables of other customers, and they're just putting it all together and serving, reheating it and serving it again.
So that makes it sound like their pizza kind of sucks. Is that?
I guess. Yeah.
Is that a fair statement? I've never had Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
I don't know if I've ever.
Hey,
been
Jimmy.
Ones.
Click on the images there.
They're recycling the pizza.
Is Chuck E. Cheese
Look at that.
A big thing or not?
It used to be.
Huh.
And that's how it's
So,
served.
so it's irregular shaped and.
Looks like they cut two pizzas in half and then.
Yeah.
Almost that too.
Look at that.
They forgot to put it split in half.
But
weird.
even so, I mean, it doesn't. I don't know.
Well, maybe they did actually cut
it looks like almost
that in half.
Like they forgot
different
to
kinds of pizza.
Split it in half and then.
But there's still
cut two
slices
pieces in half.
There's still slices in there that don't even make the half, right? There's still quarter slices in there, especially that middle one.
Yeah, like this right here where my cursor thing
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it looks like they. I mean.
Even where his hands is, you could see like the crust is not even over there.
Yeah.
But this lines up pretty well over here, I would say. This to me looks like it could be a uniform pizza.
I'm gonna have to go with Occam's razor on this. Is it more likely that there's just some pimple-faced idiot in the back that doesn't know how ratios work, or is it?
How is that possible, though? I mean, the pizza comes out in a circle. You cut the pizza. How does it make that shape?
Well, maybe that actually was like somebody ordered half this and half that, and they actually cooked two different pizzas.
Maybe it was already on the table and someone did that.
Yeah, it's also possible.
That's the thing. Like the conspiracy is that the employees
could be all fake too.
Are taking leftover pizzas from already paid customers and just throwing it all together.
You know, if I eat at a place like Chuck E. Cheese, that's the least of my worries.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
thinking more about like Band-Aids and God knows what else.
Here's a good one.
Yeah, see.
You know, he comes with the territory, I guess.
Could be a customer, I think.
Yeah.
Let's just put it all together and take a picture of it.
I don't know. Pretty unhealthy.
I believe it.
Yeah, we've
got my glasses on.
We've sunk to that level. Chuck E. Cheese pizza
conspiracy.
Look, hey, no topic is off limits here
That's
at
right.
Project Ion.
Project Ion.
And there is no low that's too low for us to sink to. So,
Shep, do you have any input on chemtrails since we're on the conspiracies?
Yeah.
Chemtrails?
Yeah. Anything new in YouTube land on chemtrails?
No.
Shep's our YouTube guy.
Watch a lot of YouTube. Too much.
Was the basic gist of that the government or something was like poisoning everybody or
The helicopters?
no, the chemtrails thing.
Oh,
turning the freaking frog gay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a problem I often have with conspiracies. Is there really it's the uniformity with the conspiracy? It's not always consistent.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you never know what the truth is. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I believe the gist is that there's some sort of government program to put chemicals in the air and some sort of pattern, and some people think it's to make everyone stupider. Some
Just
people
like
think
water,
it's
too.
to cause some sort of like massive sperm count die off or whatever, decrease the population size. You know, there's various, you know, the purpose is not well defined.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I think they think they're going to put stuff in our water too.
Well, would the chemtrail thing even be a good way to administer something like that? I mean, because wouldn't it like blow in the wind or something, and like where you're flying over?
I tend to think a better way to do it would be to poison the water supply.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I mean, just based on,
Well, yeah.
if you want to poison people, you put it in the water. I mean, I don't know.
Tap water. I mean,
It's a lot easier than trying to gas an entire continent or globe or whatever. I don't know. I guess there's.
Yeah, if you do that, it's just going to spread unevenly.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to get everybody, you gotta make sure you can get them. If that makes any sense. Well, instead of drinking 85% Coca-Cola, I'm gonna bump up to 100% now that they're poisoning the wells.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scary stuff.
Boil your water.
I'd just go with the old activated charcoal. Call it good.
What's that, Dave?
Oh, it's a filter.
Oh,
it's a filter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Activated charcoal is really good at filtering out just about everything.
I think maybe I've seen something like that. Is it a?
So, for example, if you get like the Brita that you kind of screw right onto the faucet, or even just a regular Brita, those cartridges are basically charcoal that.
Oh, okay.
Set up to adsorb is not absorb. Adsorb.
Absorb stuff. Huh?
Yeah.
Add an
Yeah. So it adsorbs. Basically purifies the water, which I'm not opposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, industrial water's bad. I mean,
so if we're talking about water supply, I did see a story just yesterday about how the EPA is now saying that they are looking into regulating PFOS and PFOA. Have you followed any of that?
I haven't heard of that.
So basically, there are these companies, DuPont, Chemours, and 3M, who spent the last, 50, 70 years making this nasty compound that is sort of... Teflon is related to that whole thing, and it poisons the water with these things called PFOA and some other nasties that essentially never break down, ever, and they just stay forever in the water supply, and they cause cancer and all sorts of nasty awfulness. So, yeah.
Scary stuff.
That's a pretty scary one. That's a pretty scary one. And a couple years ago, there was a, or was it in Pennsylvania? I think there was or Ohio. There was a class action lawsuit that was settled, but that was local, and the EPA has yet to do anything about it. Even though every one of us basically has it in our bloodstream.
Wow.
On some level, some minute quantity, and they're not chemicals that exist in nature.
Good thing I get my water supply from the West Fork Des Moines River.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why people settled in this neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So crystal clear waters of the West Fork.
Now it's brown.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of runoff.
Yeah.
So forth. So it goes.
Yep.
Well, Shep, you're a super healthy eater, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try doing this.
Right. And is it easier for you to shop over in the lakes area for your food, would you say, versus when you lived in Estherville, or
yeah, a little bit.
Comparable? Okay.
So what is your regimen, if you don't mind?
What do you mean?
Like, if you have some, like, basic rules that you go by.
I'm vegan now, so.
Oh.
Cow.
So it's hard to eat out.
Yes.
But yeah.
I would imagine.
I mainly cook myself. I mean, it's hard to find stuff around here too, but like I go to bigger cities. I go to Truman to work every week, so I stop at like Fairmont, Hy-Vee, and they got lots more than the Hy-Vees around here. But
when did you go vegan, Jesse?
I think it's been 3 years.
Really?
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
March, I think it'll be 3 years.
What about, like, desserts? Do you do sugar and any of that?
I don't eat a lot of like sugars, or I mean snacks, and I don't eat a lot of that stuff. If someone brings me to me, I'll eat it, but I don't sit there and buy a bunch of stuff at home.
All right, next time you're on, we're having a freaking meat platter and right in front of you, Shep. Bacon.
So that's a good question. Do you ever have? So I don't eat a lot of meat either, but I tried to go vegan, and about a week I was having chronic dreams of steak and eggs. So I gave up on the vegan end. I was like, I can't give up the cheese or the eggs.
Every once in a while I have like a dream, and then I don't know if I fully eat it or not, but I'm like, oh my god, I can't eat that, but I have it in my hand or something.
Tempting.
I don't ever remember if I eat it
like
or
a
not.
cheeseburger or something.
Yeah, I do have dreams, and you're like, oh my god, I shouldn't be eating that, or.
Oh, and you wake up and you're like, oh, thank God, I did not actually
yeah,
eat
I don't
that
remember
cheeseburger.
if I ate it, or wake up
awesome.
before I actually ate it.
Well, did you go vegan for health reasons, or was it?
Yeah, it was more for health reasons.
Okay.
Because I had like a lot of inflammation, and like my muscles were all going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a lot better now.
It's helped since you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Was there an animal element to it, like a animal ethics type element?
I mean, a little bit, but I'm not too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, primarily
I guess
a health
little more
decision.
now, I suppose. Yeah.
It's an added benefit.
Yeah.
For you, maybe. Yeah.
But you can buy like there's milk. You can easily get milk that's not non-dairy milk.
Mm-hmm.
That's becoming more popular, I think, anyways. But
So what do you usually reach for in that department? Do you go with like the cashew milk or the soy milk or the
pea milk? It's made by pea protein.
pea milk?
Yeah.
I'd be hesitant there.
It's good.
Is it yellow? No, sorry.
Pea milk.
I can't find it around. I can find it in Fairmont, so any place that has it. But
Are the prices still pretty high for all that stuff? Or are they coming down
not
more?
too bad. It's coming down.
Yeah. I remember gluten-free stuff used to be astronomical in price, and now since more and more people are doing it, they've kind of dropped a little bit, which is good, but
What about like white flour? Is that a no-no?
I don't eat much like gluten stuff either. I mean, I eat some of it, but I don't do much gluten either. I don't eat much bread or.
What's like a normal
rice,
breakfast for
rice,
you?
Beans, veggies, potatoes.
So those are your staples, maybe?
Yeah.
Rice, beans, potatoes.
Yeah, how do your macros work out then? So you must get most of your protein from your beans then, I would assume,
you
right?
still get
Yeah.
plenty of protein
Yeah.
without eating meat.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Get about 1 gram per pound of body weight. Keep those
Yeah.
guns nice and
Oh yeah.
good for you.
Nice and lean.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I do plenty. I do a lot of biking.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously in the spring and summer.
Yep.
That's why I moved to Boji too. So.
Yeah.
Do you find that your recovery time has suffered at all?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I couldn't do it. It's laudable, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm just a meat guy, I guess.
I could give up meat. I have pretty much given up meat.
I don't miss it. I've been out with it for long enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about like fries in a pinch? Can you eat fries in most places?
You probably shouldn't, but yeah, because they still probably fry it with the meat. But I do eat fries, if that's the only thing that's available.
Okay.
Well, I eat what I eat, and I'll die when I die.
What is it? So what is it in the meat that's a problem for you? Like too much cholesterol in red meat or something, or?
I don't know. I just gave it out. I guess I didn't really go that deep into it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of vegans say that meat leads to extra body fat or inflammation in the body, that kind of thing. I don't know enough of the science to say yes, this is true, or yes, it's not, or
I could say
but
that I have yet to meet a blubbery vegan. Like that is true.
Yeah, that's a good point. You
don't see it.
You don't see
you want to
overweight.
lose a lot of weight. It's a good way to go too. So I'm seeing because I've gone to Facebook pages and stuff, and people going vegan, they lose a lot of weight just by
not like limiting portions or anything. They just lose weight. Probably just falls off, I would imagine.
Well, you could still be a vegan and have a shitty diet, though, right?
I mean, you still gotta kind of watch it too.
I mean, you could eat still have a lot of sugar, still have a lot of
potato chips,
carbs, and whatever that would be no bueno.
Potato chips, yeah, that's true.
But also, you're not eating cheese and milk, which is obviously fattening too.
Yeah.
Oh God, but they're so good.
Yeah,
like
cheese. Cheese and milk's and everything, and that's what's hard to when you go out to eat.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably, if I could speculate about it, I think that if people are making the switch to being vegan, they're probably a little more health conscious people in the first place. So therefore,
probably
they're
true.
It was that way before, anyways.
They're going to exercise more. They're more likely to control their portions, that sort of thing. So
they're not Pabst enthusiasts, maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those beers can be killers.
Oh man. Yep. They can. Bud heavy. 300 calories a can.
It's shocking. Or those some of those, the craft beers and stuff that's so hot right now. Everybody loves their craft beer. That stuff can have tons of calories.
It's like eating a Subway cookie.
Right, yeah.
Or like and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Loaf of bread.
Yeah.
In every bottle. I don't know. Not much of a beer snob. Never have been. I don't even like beer very much.
I like it just fine, but I try not to. I've tried to roll back.
Yeah. You're kind of a beer guy, aren't you, Jesse?
I drink some. I try to stay with it, but now I actually started drinking again. So, but yeah, I don't drink a lot of beer. It's more social.
Right.
I don't sit at home and drink a whole case of beer by myself. So.
Right. But I think I've seen pictures of you at the brewery and you're trying different beers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you a heavy beer guy, or do you like a lighter beer, or?
Probably like or one in between.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can't think of what. Plus I drink like light beers too. But.
Have an amber.
Yeah, like something like that. Yeah, the amber.
Yeah, those can be.
I don't like the dark stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I do. God. Like a Guinness?
My
favorite.
I had my first Guinness in college. Go figure.
My favorite.
I've had that too.
Yeah. It was one of those bottles that had the little plastic
ball in
thing,
it?
the ball. Yeah. And
oh, man.
Took me a bottle or two to figure out the whole turnover process thing, because that's important. I'm just like drinking the
milk foam.
The milk foam, yeah.
Gross.
Took a while.
I remember being with Kevin way back in the day and drinking when he used to drink.
All right. So, as a vegan, what is your take on honey?
Yeah, see, I stay away from that too.
All right. I was like, yeah, that's like, I was like, damn, but that's true. It's an animal product, sort of. It's more like bee barf mixed with pollen, but yeah, it's delicious bee barf.
So, for the people who are focused on the animal element to it, I get staying away from all animal products. But if it's like you've got some sort of pinpoint reason why you're doing the no meat thing, it seems to me like there'd be a way to sort of make a piecemeal veganism where you're like, yeah, I'm cool with this, or I'll eat fish or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. So because on the ethical spectrum, honey seems fairly, I don't know,
benign,
fairly benign. Yeah.
Just like vegetarian. I mean, I know they still eat fish and
eggs, don't they?
That's me. Like, I still eat. I eat fish once in a blue moon, eggs and cheese, milk, or like my coffee's always gonna have milk in it.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna change.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do see like how milk is probably not like, I mean, just the way it's produced is not appetizing or ethical or.
When in our evolutionary history did humans need milk?
Yeah.
At our infancy, right?
Yeah.
We don't need it past then, so it's like our bodies naturally reject it. Some of them, anyway.
Unless you're Northern European, basically. It's, I forget, there's like it's interesting distribution of lactose intolerance.
Yeah.
That's like Asians are much more, but maybe some of that has to do with stopping. Like, if you are breastfed and then you stop consuming, then you lose the capacity to digest. There's some theory there that it's not genetic, but more
more of a
exposure, prolonged or sort of unbroken exposure.
Mm-hmm.
I think my dad is. He can't like eat ice cream or milk and that stuff.
Man, sounds like a
So it probably runs
lactose.
in the
Yeah.
family too, but I don't drink that much milk anymore. So
yeah, my wife's that way.
Real milk.
She's allergic to all sorts of things, so
Huh.
keeps me on the straight and narrow kind of.
Oh,
Yeah, I suppose. Peanut allergy by chance? Or?
No, which is that's good news because I eat a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah.
That's hard because there are peanuts in everything too.
Yeah.
Just like gluten and peanuts. I mean, that's in everything. Milk is in everything.
And that's the nut allergy thing is getting wild. It's like in a setting, say for school, for example, you might have some kid in school that's like deathly allergic to nuts. Don't even think about bringing a peanut butter sandwich to school.
And that is interesting too because that has increased over time.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what's up with that, man?
One theory is that
more people, more allergies.
Yeah.
Fewer people are eating peanuts.
Right, so then they don't.
So then they don't have, now they're saying the recommendation is that you're supposed to give small quantities of peanuts to your kids, actually.
Mm-hmm.
To, so that they grow, so that they don't have like a crazy allergic response to it. So that makes sense. My daughter is not, she's not intolerant at all.
How soon do you get a kid? When do you find out about it? Is it just they're having a reaction, must be allergic to something, better get them checked? Or is that a mandatory thing for a kid? Maybe some of you dads can fill me in on that.
We haven't had Hudson check. I think he can. We haven't had him checked yet. I think it's pretty much you wait
till there's a problem. Yeah.
And so part of actually, if you think about this, like you're not supposed to give your kid peanut butter because it's a choking hazard when they're too young. And so if you miss that window, then maybe their body just freaks out.
Weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, it seems like